Tom Brady is finally hanging it up after 23 seasons in the NFL. Brady has won 7 Super Bowls, 5 Super Bowl MVPs, 3 regular season MVPs, 15 Pro Bowl selections, and he holds every major passing record possible. Shannon, where does Tom Brady's career rank all time across all sports?
Well, Skip, I can only put it into terms of team sports. It's hard to try to do a tennis or a golf or something like that. So I'm just going to keep it in team sport.
Yeah.
I think he's had the greatest career in team sports history. And Skip, can I just go back to my lifetime? Because Skip, I don't remember those 50 Yankees when they won 10 championships in 12 years, or the 21 or the 30 Yankees. I can't, and the Canadians and those teams, the Blackhawks, Skip, the Red Wings. Skip,
fair enough.
I'm just going to go back to what I can remember, what I can tell you about. I think he's had the greatest career as far as team sport of any individual because of the finality of his one game. In most times in a series, the best team 90% of the time will win a series.
You're right.
In football, the best team doesn't always win.
No.
The team that plays the best on a given day will normally win. And Tom Brady has played the best on a given day more times than anybody else in team sport history. Think about it. Put it in terms of team sports. You have 7-game series or 5-game series, and they say there's nothing like a game 7. Well, in football, every playoff game is a game 7. So Tom Brady has played 48 game 7s, and he's won 35 of them.
Yep.
Let that sink in. Game 7, the finality of it, a kick here or a drop there. Skip, you lose one game in a baseball series or a basketball series. Skip, I got game 2. I come back, I regroup, look at the tape, see what I did good, see what they did. I can make adjustments. Lose a playoff game, and it's over. And Tom Brady, for him to win the amount that he won, forget just the Super Bowls, that. But in the regular season, man, how do you have 200-plus wins? I don't know if any quarterback. I mean, Mahomes has an outside chance to get to that number, Skip. But to win with the regularity in which you've done and what the NFL has done, they didn't want you to do this because they implemented a salary cap. And now you can't hoard your best players. Skip, before you just hoarded it. Look, this is what, me and Joe Green, I'm going to pay you $100,000, take it or leave it. You can either play for me or you go sit on your couch. Now, guys in free agency, Skip, they have options. You have the draft. So the bad teams have an opportunity to get good really quick. And with the salary cap, it makes it harder for you to keep your best players when their contract's up.
Yep.
And Tom Brady just won. So for me, it's Tom Brady in a team sport, and I don't think it's close.
Yeah. I appreciate everything you just said and every point you just made, and I love your point about every game is a game 7 because you know that better than anybody knows that. How many playoff games did you play in?
I played in 18.
18 playoff games. So you played in 18 game 7s and you won a whole bunch of them. You won 13 out of 18. That's pretty great. But it's not quite 35 out of 48.
No, hell no.
You did get to 3 Super Bowls and you won all 3.
Right.
But you weren't the quarterback.
No.
But you contributed.
Yes.
Okay. So we got lots of apples and oranges and pears going on here. So first I'm going to deal with your point about individual versus team sport. What Serena Williams has done on the tennis court is hard to argue with on all-time greatness because she's won 23 Grand Slam singles titles and 14 doubles with her sister, obviously.
Right. I think you got a mixed double in there, too.
Yeah. And she's now 41 years of age, and she goes back and forth about I'm retired and I'm not. But the run she made at this past summer's U.S. Open, it was so sensational that would I be shocked if she went to Wimbledon next year and won it? I would not be shocked at all. That's how great she is. And the numbers just scream huge because she just dominated the sport the way Tiger Woods has dominated the sport of golf.
Right.
I can't do it in overall majors because he's almost certainly not going to catch Jack Nicklaus and pass him.
But what do your eyes tell you?
Hey, what do your eyes? What's your heart tell you? What do your senses tell you? What does the smell test, the eye test tell you? It's just he went through a stretch, certainly from about 99, 2000, 2001. I've never seen anything like it.
No.
He owned the sport of golf in ways that I thought it was unownable.
Is it Tiger? I'll give you the field. I take Tiger.
That's correct. We just kept doing that. and half the time you'd be wrong if you took the field, right? Only because of self-inflicted injuries in many of the cases is he not running away with greatest golfer ever.
Correct.
Okay, so we get all that. But now we look at this man, Brady. He couldn't even outright win the starting job at the University of Michigan. Never outright won it, had to go back and forth. He did get to play the last game that he played there, which was a bowl game against Alabama, which I watched start to finish, the Orange Bowl. It's the first time he caught my eye, because I actually covered some of his games when I was at the Chicago Tribune when he was in college at Michigan, and he's like a part-time starter. He's alternating, right?
Right.
And yet he did. He put on a show against Alabama in a big comeback win in the Orange Bowl, and yet nobody saw it coming except one scout at New England. I don't even think Belichick had even Brady on his radar. No. And after he ran the ugliest-looking 40-yard dash in the history of the Combine and took the cringiest shirtless picture in the history of the Combine, he fell into the 6th round. Shannon Sharpe was a 7th-round pick, so you can relate.
Yes.
But as a 6th-round pick, that nobody saw coming, he became the GOAT quarterback. He did it playing for a coach who is very hard to deal with and live with.
Yeah.
A coach whose locker room often was at a boiling point of mutiny against him because he is so old school that he shames you on the practice field in ways Shannon Sharpe would have never been able to put up with it.
Tough.
I don't think you could have lived with this.
I think the thing is what made it easy for Tom is because Tom was born into that situation.
He was.
It's different, Skip, when you from somewhere else and you come into that situation because it's like when you, Skip, it's easier to be coached hard and then go somewhere easy as opposed to being coached somewhere easy and then going somewhere hard.
Right. So in all those 48 playoff games, all of which I watched very closely, I never came away thinking, Brady just had a bad day today. He never really had a bad. He was up against some really hellacious, tough defenses, especially Baltimore's, as you know, back in the day, and the Giants in the first Eli Super Bowl especially. But he always played pretty to very, very good. And he was always at his best in fourth quarters and overtime. So he wins his first 6 Super Bowls with game-winning drives in the fourth quarter or overtime. And what he pulled off against Atlanta, I know he had help from Atlanta, but you're down 28-3 in the Super Bowl. It's just hard to do. What he pulled off in the 2 AFC championship games that he won at Kansas City against Patrick Mahomes, winning the toss in overtime and converting 3 straight 3rd and 10s. It's impossibly great to go down and score. And then against Saxonville in the AFC championship game at home in Foxborough, in the cold with 12 stitches in the base of your throwing thumb, that you suffered in some practice field freak accident on the Wednesday before that Sunday championship game. You're down 20-10 in the fourth quarter, and you throw for 124 and 2 touchdowns. It's impossibly great. And you go to 10 Super Bowls, and you win 7 of them. But in a couple that you lost, in the first Eli, you go 80 yards in 12 plays, and you hit Randy Moss on 3rd and goal from the 6 for a touchdown that looked like it put you ahead for good, 14-10. And all you needed was Belichick to stop Eli Manning, and Eli goes 75 yards in 13 plays and hits Plaxico with a 13-yard almost walk-off touchdown pass with 39 seconds left to beat you. And the only one of his Super Bowls, well, the other one was the Philadelphia one, is 41-33. He scores 33 against a top 5 defense and throws for 505 yards, which is the all-time playoff record. In losing that game. And yet Belichick's defense gives up 41. So he didn't get much help from Belichick in the first Eli Super Bowl and obviously in the Nick Foles Super Bowl, the Philly special Super Bowl. And the only game that was an off game by Brady standards is the second Eli, but he hits Wes Welker, who's running free down the seam, or up the seam, I should say. And it's not a great pass.
He put it on his back shoulder. I think when looking, if you go back and look at it, I think he's trying to protect him from the safety and not have him take the face shot and get hit in his back. But he didn't get an opportunity to open his hips well enough, and he dropped it.
Okay. Wes Welker was not known to run many deep routes because everything was option underneath. You know, it's all choice routes. You know, it's your choice. You know, and I'm going to just go with you on wavelength here. But it's all bing, 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 and all of a sudden he runs up the seam and he runs free. And it didn't work. But if you get 2 hands on the ball, Shannon Sharpe would say you probably should catch the football. And if you do, we might be having a different conversation.
Well, it's that he ran the clock out. Okay.
So look at the body of work. It's unmatched. And it's almost revolutionary from where you came from the 6th round.
Yeah. There's no indication that he would have this type of career. You saw nothing in college. Even Skip his first year, he didn't start. Even though he won the first Super Bowl, you're like, bro, you only threw for 140-something yards. I mean, why would I think that you're going to be the greatest quarterback to ever play? What indication? And then the following year, Skip, they were bad. In 2002, they were just bad.
Well, you played them.
I played them. Yeah, we played them.
Right?
Yeah.
And you beat them.
We beat them. And I was like, but then they came back and we played them my last year in Denver. And Skip, he threw a touchdown pass with like 20 seconds on the clock. And you just watched him, and you're like, damn, that's not the same guy from last year. Something about him is different. You just did like, is he gonna be really good? And I remember early in my career, I was doing satellite, doing series radio with Bob Papa. And then after he won his second Super Bowl, I said, Papa, it's not out of the question. He might win 5 or 6. I'm just throwing it out there because he'd won like 2 in his first 3-4 years. I said, Papa, 5 or 6 is not out of the question. Like, but maybe more like he get Montana.
Yeah.
7. Nobody saw 7. Nobody definitely didn't see him going to 10.
Okay. So Joe Montana went 4 for 4. Right? 4-0. Terry Bradshaw went
4-0.
4-0. That's pretty great.
Aikman went 3-0.
Peyton went 3-0.
Aikman.
I'm sorry. Aikman. Yeah, Aikman went 3-0. Exactly. Michael Jeffrey Jordan went 6-0 in the finals, but these are 7 gamers now.
Yeah.
But he won 6 MVPs and never got to a Game 7 because he was just too good.
Yes.
Okay?
But just think about it, Skip. Though he lost games in the final.
He did.
You lose a game in the final in football, it's over.
I agree.
It's over, Skip.
So as great as Jordan's career was, on longevity, duration, scope, expanse, you have to give Brady an edge over Jordan, right?
Yeah.
And again, I give Brady a slight edge over Serena, but now we're doing apples to oranges, and it's hard because we're doing team sport versus.
And that's why I said, look, we got to keep it to a team level because you look at these tennis players, what Federer, Nadal, Djokovic is doing.
Just keep on keeping on, right?
Tiger in golf, because Skip, I don't have a teammate. I don't need. I could throw a horrible pass, like that tip pass in the Super Bowl, and Edelman made a great play. Well, Serena, she can't get any help.
No.
She can't call timeout. Okay, what should I do on this one? Do I serve out wide? Do I go up the tee? I mean,
and hey, golf is even worse because you want to talk about lonely. It is all you because you're not returning serve, so there's no dependence on the opponent to hit you a ball and you react. The ball doesn't move until you move in golf. It's hard, man. On clutchness, it is the supreme test to me of clutchness is golf. But what Brady did clutch-wise, it's not spectacular clutch, but it's routine clutch. It's just again and again and again and again. I don't have a signature walk-off play for Tom Brady, but I can show you a whole bunch of fourth-quarter comebacks.
I mean, you look at Mr. Russell. I mean, 11 in 12, 13 years.
Well, I'm glad you brought him up.
But it's just hard for me to take someone over Tom Brady in a team sport.
I hear you.
Well, his tweet announcing his retirement is getting a ton of views, guys. When we started the show, it had 6 million views in only an hour and a half. It's now up to 9.4 million views.
It's probably going to be a 20.
Speaking of climbing. Yeah, when it's all said and done, I agree, Shannon. Speaking of climbing, guys, we know LeBron's chasing that scoring title, but he's climbing his way up another list as well.
I saw that,
We're going to unpack